Hey, good morning, everybody. And it is Thursday morning, and this is Thursday Morning Live. And I just want to welcome you. And if you're new to the show, you're going to want to thank the people that invited you here today. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back. We're going to rock your world a little bit this morning. Have a different kind of business idea, business concept that we're going to bring and share with you today. Before we get started, though, I just want to encourage you that if you like what you hear this morning, like us and love us on social media, help that bandwidth to grow for us. And if you're following us or listening in this morning live on YouTube, smash the subscribe button because we're always bringing great content like we're going to bring to you this morning to help you and your business grow. And Facebook, join our community, which is Multifamily Unplugged. Speaking of multifamily, one thing I want to remind everybody about coming up in October this year, October 17th and 18th, is the 2-day multifamily summit. I have a great lineup of guests and speakers this year. Starting on Thursday morning, Matt Faircloth will be opening us up, and Neil Bawa will be closing us out on Friday. So it's going to be an action-packed couple of days, working lunches. We're going to work straight through. Watch the Facebook group, watch your social media. We're going to be launching a early bird special here soon, so you'll want to participate in that. Hey, this morning our guest Kelly Koontz. Kelly's from Seattle, Washington. He's with Submeter Solutions. They're a utility metering company. So if you're in the multifamily space and you're looking to be able to get money back from your tenants for those utility charges, you're going to want to listen into this process here this morning. So let's bring Kelly in. Kelly, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. I'm doing great. Nice to be with you this morning.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. Appreciate your time. We're both on Pacific time, it sounds like. So
Yes.
it's early for us. Been up for a while. So,
But I've got my cup of coffee ready to go in case it's needed here.
so quick, interesting story. I'm coming to Seattle next week for a couple of days. What's the weather like up there?
The last few days have been absolutely beautiful, but in classic Seattle form, it's raining this morning, and I think we're going to be seeing that through the first part of the weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Typical Seattle. That's why I like Southern California. So a little bit more sunshine.
More
So,
than a little bit more sunshine, that's for sure.
yeah. Hey, Kelly, I always start my show with one question. And, people say, how come one question? Well, I always say I'm going to write a book about this. I'm going to take all my guests and all the questions and take the best ones and write a little paragraph on each one. So one of these days I'm going to get that done. But in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Oh, I love that question. I think the word that I would like to use, and it does cut through both my personal and professional life, would be enthusiastic. Um,
Ah,
I am somebody that loves people, loves experiences, likes to find out about the world. And when I am excited about something, it oozes out of me. So that's just kind of my personality. Sometimes it's contagious, but it's served me very well.
awesome. That's great. Hey, do you think you've always been enthusiastic, or is that something that you kind of gained over time, or did you learn something?
Oh, I think that it's probably been a part of me, but I certainly have learned that it's something not to hide or to try to control, but to allow myself to just be myself. And I've found that that's really served me the best.
Yeah. So before the show, you were telling me that you're up in Seattle, that you've been in the throes of Boeing for years. Why don't you talk about your history for a little bit?
Sure. Well, I'm 63. I have been in the working world for decades now. We are up in Seattle. I started my career. in the aerospace manufacturing industry, making component parts for Boeing and other aerospace companies that are out there. Yeah, doing very well, successful, traveling the world. But I got an opportunity to partner up with one of my very oldest friends in 2010, who had started this little online business to sell gas and water meters online, and he was doing it as a after work. Make a few bucks to take his family on vacation, and one thing led to another, and we joined forces in 2010, and that's how Submeter Solutions was born.
Nice. So, why don't you tell us exactly what you guys do and a little bit about Submeter Solutions?
Yeah, Mike, you touched on it. If you're a multifamily property owner or manager, one of the most expensive costs that you have to deal with are utilities, especially those utilities that the utility company has not decided to meter each individual unit, and they're sending you a bill. Let's say it's gas and or water and sewer rather every month. Um, so you're having to decide how you're going to recover those costs from your residents. And you can try to recover that with just adding some fees in your monthly rents. Or you might even be a little more sophisticated and do ratio based billing back to those residents, RUBS. But we believe that the best solution is actually to um, to add a meter for every unit, and thereby you can calculate what their actual usage is, charge the residents with a utility bill to them each month for their actual usage. And now you're going to recover all of your utility costs. And you're going to maximize your return on investment with your property because of making sure that you're not undercharging there. Want to make sure that you do that legally. So that's an important part of it as well. And that's what we can do. We can help you put those equipment systems in, and then we can also help do the monthly utility billing.
So, you're different than what Rubs is.
Absolutely different. RUBS would not add any equipment. RUBS would be taking the utility bill and with some mathematical allocation, breaking the bill up. That could be by square footage, could be by occupancy. The challenge there, or the thing that we don't believe is really the best, is that you're still not creating any real incentive for your residents to to conserve or to care for that utility. If they have a toilet flapper that's hung and water's running, they're not going to really feel that in their bill. But boy, you as the owner sure are when you see a couple hundred extra dollars for each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So, here's traditionally, if you're not using a rub system, traditionally what you might do is your property management team may grab the water bill and divide that up over 100 units, or
Mhm.
grab the electric bill and divide that up over 100 units. And Rubs tends to go a step further, which
Mhm.
is kind of allocate how many people live in the building and go through, as you said, that mathematical allocation. But you
Mhm.
guys are taking it even a step further by installing the equipment. And that piece of equipment that you put in, does that cover water, gas, electric, cover all the utilities, or are you separating utilities on different meters?
We're separating those utilities on different meters. Maybe you only need a water meter because the gas and electric is covered by the utility. Maybe you need all three. So
Hmm.
we can work with you and uh, install the exact meter or meters that you need. Typically, we're going to pair those meters with a reading system. So if you have more than one type of meter, they're all going to go into the same database. And the process of reading those meters and creating those bills is really straightforward.
Yeah. So, What about so there's a lot of technology out there today that is, hey, we'll help you find a leak or see if you have a water leak. We all, you know, if you're in the multifamily business, you know that one of your biggest costs is water. And
Right.
when there's a leak and your water bill spikes the following month, and you didn't know about it. So does your meter help with that piece of technology as well?
It sure does. I mentioned earlier that that classic toilet flapper on the toilet leak that's just
Yeah.
running water. A very innocent toilet flapper leak can really add up to over 6,000 gallons of water in 1 month. And depending on where you live, that's going to be 150 to $200 a month in water and sewer costs. So this is not a little thing. This is
Yeah.
real big money. The technology that it's been really exciting for us to watch over the years has gotten very, very smart. Where the meters and the reading systems now will isolate when a water is constantly running. And say after 24 hours, it will literally send the manager or the maintenance person a text or an email that says, hey, you need to go check out unit 102. The water's constantly running. There's a suspected leak there. And the systems are great. They're very accurate, and they're saving people a lot of money right now.
And so does that technology go like to a dashboard on your computer? How do you know and how do you read those meters for the bill back portion? Yeah, I have a ton of questions around
Sure.
this, right?
Yeah.
And does it work with property? Is it integrated with property management software in any way?
Yeah, all those are really, really great questions, Mike. I think when people first hear about this, the first thing they think is, "Oh my gosh, this must be really expensive." So I think I want to start by saying that we are going to surprise you with how relatively inexpensive this type of equipment is, although it is very sophisticated. So let's start with that water meter as a good example. It all starts with a small utility grade, very accurate meter. It can be installed typically indoors on the water line, and it's got an electronic output that we connect that meter to a wireless transceiver, which is going to broadcast that meter read back to a base unit. That base unit pushes that data up to the cloud, and then that is available, whether it's to our company if we're doing the utility monthly billing for you, or to the manager or the owner of the property. They can log on to a free website and see the actual reading, the usage. They can see those alerts for leaks and other events as well. So that's how that works. A water meter with a transmitter is as little as $115 per unit.
No
Um,
kidding.
a gas meter, a small gas meter for a apartment or a condo is going to be about 250, 275. And an electric meter is about $350.
Yeah. So most multifamily though is electric. You don't really have gas unless maybe hot water heater, but that's typically run by building maintenance anyhow. So um, what about asset classes? Does it make sense in across the board A, B, C assets or
Yeah, when our industry started 25, 30 years ago, of course, this was all happening at the 200 unit and larger big properties. One of the things that my business partner and I recognized way back in 2010 was that the power and advantages of submetering really can be taken advantage of if you've got a triplex or a 5 unit apartment. There's no reason why you can't do that as well. So
right?
our systems are designed for as big or as small of a multifamily that you have.
Interesting. So, one of the biggest, I always feel that multifamily deals are made and broken at the asset management level, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
your boots on the ground, they're going to fix that little toilet leak if somebody calls and complains, or if, the tenant downstairs has got a leak coming through the ceiling. That's how things get discovered and found out, you
Yeah.
know. But we see it on the bills, right? We see it at the financial level, and sometimes it can be painful. I mean, I've seen some water bills that I go, God, how are we going to handle this? So, I think from an asset management standpoint, it's got to help with, you know, cut those expenses, because we all know in business, right? You make money two ways: raise income, lower
Mhm.
expenses. And how do
Right.
we keep those expenses down?
Yep, yep. That the traditional way of finding that you have a problem, and again, using water as an example, is you get that bill that's delayed. You may be 45, 60 days away from when that leak actually started, if you just rely on seeing something on a utility bill versus having a sub metering system. You could be dealing with that within a day or two of when it started.
Yeah, interesting. So, how long does an install typically take? And let's just say you know, 100 unit complex. How long would it take to do those installs?
Well, again, we'll use water because that's typically the most common. We're going to work with you to identify, say, a plumber that you already use that knows the property, or you've got on site, or you can contact us and we'll help you find a qualified licensed plumber. But the actual installation of these meters is really pretty straightforward. And of course, it depends a little, Mike, on do they have to is the plumbing exposed, and it's straightforward, and they can do that in literally half an hour or less per unit, or sometimes
Right.
a little more involved if they have to cut into a wall. So every unit, every project has got its own unique issues, but we are really committed to working with the plumbers who may not have installed meters often, and we're going to tell them everything they need to know. And it is a piece of the project, but typically it's not. It's doable. And then when we talk about like an electric meter, the kind of meters we use are actually designed to be non-intrusive. So you don't have to do a whole lot of rewiring or adding cabinets or those kinds of things. They wire right into the electrical circuit panels.
Yeah, interesting. I love the way you said that, Kelly, so gently, that every multifamily deal comes with its unique set of challenges,
So true. Yeah.
because they certainly do.
And we really believe, Mike, that's one of our value propositions. We're really smart when it comes to um, sub meters, water, gas, electric. We don't just have a cookie cutter approach. Oh, we sell this meter, we'll get it for you. We hear about your specifics of your property. We ask a ton of questions, and then we say, you know what, your project really looks like this meter is best, and we're going to pair that with this reading system, and we're going to work with your installer to make sure that everything goes really smooth.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of, functionality things right now. So you mentioned that you guys could monitor it, or we could monitor it.
Yeah.
If we choose to have you monitor it and do the billing, what's the revenue share on that?
Yeah, that's super good question. And this is where I maybe my enthusiasm comes out with a big smile, because when you contract with us to do that billing services, we've got the access now to all those meter reads online, and we will read the meters. We will take the utility costs from your utility bill or the published rates from your utility, and we will put that into our billing software that industry based utilities billing software, and we will create a bill for every resident that's detailed for all of the individual pieces of the utility, the base fees, the usage fees, taxes. We'll break that out however it needs to be done. And then at the very bottom of the bill, we can put a small billing service fee for our services. That typically is $3, $4, $5 at most. And so the resident ends up paying for our service. So if you're a property owner, manager, you're not doing any of this now, we get that metering system in place. We're going to do that monthly billing for you, and it's essentially free to you because the residents are paying our fees.
That's awesome. And how is the education process with the tenant? I think that if I have a property that we charge a rent and then we charge a water fee of, call it $50.
Mhm,
And I think we're short all the time, right?
mhm,
Even just on
mhm.
that.
Yep.
How does a resident take to this new concept? I'm sure there's an education process. Hey, Mr. Mrs. Tenant, we're putting this meter in. You're now going to, get a more thorough bill. But what if that bill goes up over, what they traditionally have been paying? That's like a rent increase for them, right? And
Yep.
especially if you're in a C class asset,
Right.
where that workforce housing. So, how's the education process with the tenant?
I think that's an incredibly insightful question, Mike. I can tell you have been in the industry because change is hard for anybody, especially if you have longstanding tenants and they're used to thinking that the water's free. They don't realize that they are paying that $50 inside of the monthly rent, or somehow you're trying to recover that. So, we will work with starting with the managers and the owners to make sure that they have the tools to get their leases in the right place. And then if need be, we'll come out and even do we've on occasion been invited to an all resident meeting to just kind of explain this. And that, I think the key here is that when you can explain to the resident that instead of an arbitrary dollar amount that has been added to their bill that they have no control on, they now actually have control on how much
Right.
money they're going to be paying every month for their utilities, because they pay only for what they use. And you're going to find, after installing this, some residents may have their bills go up a little, but many of them may have their bills come down. And so I think once that understanding is properly communicated and passed along, you get a lot of, oh, that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
this is a good thing.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I certainly know that we're going to be having a conversation on a couple of my deals. So,
Happy to do
no,
so.
yeah, no doubt about that. Obviously, you guys go anywhere in the continental United States.
We sure do. We sure do. Even I say with a smile, even down to California, as where you are, Mike. We like to tease when we get phone calls that there are 49 states and then there's California. And
Yeah.
you, with a few extra regulations, but we know all about those and we can help you.
Yeah, so that'll be good for our California listeners, but I don't own any assets in California and don't think I will. So, because of
Well,
those
yeah,
regulations.
I think that's probably smart.
Hey, Kelly, I appreciate you being here this morning. Any last thoughts that you want to leave people with?
No, I think that that the key here is just having your listeners understand that they have some really great options beyond just rubs, or beyond just trying to find that money in your monthly rent. The fun thing about our business is when we can put a metering system in, say a retrofit project where they've been doing some of those other methods, the overall bill, and this is going to really happen, is going to drop 20, maybe as much as 30%, because of human nature. And when people start paying for what they use, they are more careful with it. So
Ah,
this
yeah,
win-win. It's not just a win for you as the owner. The utilities are really pro sub metering, and this is good for our society to really take care of the most responsibly these ever precious assets like water and gas and electricity.
100%. Well, Kelly, I appreciate you being here this morning. You want to tell people how they can reach out to you?
Yeah, we would love to talk to any of your listeners that may be more interested in this. Our website is submetersolutions with an S at the end.com. And we've got a link, submetersolutions.com/podcast, that if they go to that link, they'll see a brief prompt to give us some information. And one of our folks will give you a call and we'll answer more of your questions. And then we'd be happy to provide you with a free estimate on your specific project.
Perfect. Love what you guys are doing. I think there is definitely a niche in the market for this, and looking forward to talking about a couple of our properties that we have and seeing how we can again add value, because we know every time we add $1 of NOI to that property, we increase that value. Just at simple math, at a 5.5 cap, we're going up about $240 in value. So um,
So true.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Kelly, thanks for being here this morning. I want to just say to all our listeners this morning, hey, reach out to Kelly. If you have a multifamily deal and you are looking to increase value, increase your NOI, Kelly has a solution that can help you do that, help you curb some costs and add revenue. So, remember our fifth annual multifamily summit coming up October 17th and 18th. Action-packed stage, 20 speakers and panelists. We're going to have some great names this year. Going to cover a lot of content, everything from how to get started to how to scale your business with a panel of top performers this year. So, hey, glad that you're here this morning. We're here every Thursday morning. I'll look forward to talking to you soon. If I can be of any help, don't hesitate to reach out. Everybody have a great week.